In this lesson, you will learn the installation differences while using AC modules. Enphase has partnered with solar panel manufacturers to create a product called the AC module. AC modules, or commonly known as ACM, is a microinverter and bracket that is attached to the backsheet of the module at the factory. This eliminates the need for the additional step of separately mounting the inverter to the PV array framing. When installing the ACM, there are a few noteworthy differences that you may have experienced if you have previously installed microinverters separately. Now let's review the installation steps and show you those differences. Installation steps. Install the circuit AC isolator. Also, if required, install a weatherproof junction boxes for AC connections between arrays. Position the Enphase Q cable. And per module, position the AC module and pop-out microinverter. Connect microinverters to Q cable connector, install AC modules, and manage Q cable to module frame and rail. Per row, create your installation map. Terminate Q cable at the last microinverter. And 9. Energize the system. Installation Step 1. Position and install the AC isolators and Q cabling across the solar array framing. If required, add any weatherproof junction boxes to extend AC wiring across to another array. Also note that for AC module installations, it is recommended to use the landscape Q cabling that has a minimum 2 meter connector spacing. This is to ensure that you have enough cable length when managing and supporting the Q cabling underneath each solar module. Position the Q cable. Plan each cable segment to allow Q connectors on the Enphase Q cable to align with each AC module. Using your landscape Q cabling, allow for extra length for slack, cable turns and any obstructions. Mark the approximate centers of each of the PV modules on the PV framing. Lay out the cabling, making sure that the cabling is positioned in a way that allows you to connect it up for the microinverter underneath each solar module. To prepare the module, pull out the microinverter from the bracket onto the installation ready position as shown in the video. From the factory, the inverter is flat against the backsheet and needs to be lifted with 2 hands. Lift the inverter away from the backsheet and the inverter will snap into place. Next, you'll want to lay the modules on the racking and connect the drop of Q cable to the microinverter. Listen for the click as the Q cable locks into place. Give it a tug to make sure that the locking mechanism is engaged. If there are any drops of Q cable that are unused, be sure to secure them with a Q sealing cap. This is to prevent water ingress into the connector. With the modules now mounted, it's time to manage the Q cabling to the racking or module frame. In this example, you'll see that the solar framing positions must consider the maximum and minimum edge clamping zones for the mounting of the PV module. Plan and install solar framing to avoid any rail interference. Consider the clamp zones for portrait framing positions. Also for landscape rail directions. As the microinverter sits proud of the solar frame, check the minimum distance from the module edge to the PV framing so that the rail clears the microinverter when it is mounted. While you are fitting the AC module to the framing, don't forget to capture each serial number to complete an array map. You can hand it off to whoever may be doing the commissioning with the installer toolkit so that they can scan the serial numbers into the activation. Having the activation started before you go to the job site will allow you to do this more easily. You may even have the framework of the array layout completed in the back office so that scanning is even easier. Now complete your Q wiring branches with the Q termination cap. With the solar ACMs installed and all the AC wiring completed to the Envoy and even your solar subboard, the last step in the process is to energize your system. You can complete the system commissioning with the Installer Toolkit app. You can note that the LED on each of the microinverters will flash and will change status to green flashing when they have an AC connection and are also communicating to the Envoy gateway.